Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice of radio, so I've made a podcast. But we're not watching a podcast today. No. We are watching a video from the St Austell down in Cornwall in the UK Regional Championships. Now this happened in the expanded format, so all the sets are legal from black and white all the way through to breakpoint. We are playing 50 minutes and we are playing best of 3. Huge thank you to Vinnie Gardner and all at Mad for Miniatures for making us especially welcome and comfortable and doing everything they could to help. They are lovely, lovely people. If you're in the area, if you're in Cornwall in the UK, check them out. As always, ladies and gentlemen, grab yourself a nice cold beverage or warm, I don't want to tell you what to do, and enjoy this game from St Austell Regional Championships. Best of 3, 50 minutes, black and white to breakpoint. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on the left we have got Tamau Cameron. He is going to be playing a dark deck with Yveltal and Darkrai, and on the right we have me, and I'm going to be playing Regirock. So you can all see a couple of Regigigases there, and I actually get to go first. I won the coin flip. I think I won the coin flip in half of my games in this tournament, and as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, that is a win. So I've got a Regirock on the bench, I've got a Wobbuffet in the active, and straight away I search out a Regirock, and if I don't have an energy in hand, I'm going to go ahead and try and get a Professor's Letter to grab myself some more energy. If I already have an energy in hand, if I've got enough energy for the time being, I'm going to be going and getting myself maybe a Robo Substitute to make sure that I can stall for a turn, or maybe a Focus Sash so I can stall with Regirock for a turn. Now, if you want to know about my Regirock deck, I've already produced a video about my Regirock deck. It's seeming quite popular. I believe it's a pretty good video. So if you want to know about the Regirock deck, what it is and how it works, I encourage you very heartily to go and check that video out. So I actually have apparently a very poor hand, so I've got to go for a VS Seeker here. Now all this is really going to do is it's going to allow me to grab a Corinna next turn, which is not ideal, but at least I can grab a Regirock next turn, and if I top deck, let's say I top deck a Robo Sub, I can grab a Focus Sash, or it essentially means that next turn I can get an item I want based off what I top deck, and it means that if nothing else, I'll get a Regirock next turn. What I didn't want to do is end up in a situation where I've got 2 Regirock, one of them's got a Focus Sash, or I've got 2 Regirock and a Robo Sub, and then I have nothing. That would be very inconvenient. Clearly not my ideal start here. But unfortunately, this happens, and Regirock can be a bit of a slow deck. It can be one that takes a little while to get going at times. Well, it always takes a little while to get going because you've got to manually attach 4 energy before you do anything. But you know what? Sometimes you can afford to waste turns. It's kind of what the deck does. And the fact of the matter is that I've got a Wobbuffet in the active. Now, annoyingly here, I've got to Puzzle of Time. I'm playing a single Puzzle of Time. It allows me to rearrange the top 3 cards of my deck. Now, that is not what you want to use Puzzle of Time for. You want to play 2 Puzzle of Time in one go to grab 2 cards out of your discard pile. For me, that would be usually a Scramble Switch and something else. But I can still double Puzzle of Time twice. I grab 2 Puzzle of Time, I grab a Scramble Switch and the Puzzle of Time I just used. And then when I draw into my 4th Puzzle of Time, I can double Puzzle of Time again. So not a great start from me, not a brilliant opening hand. No Tropical Beach, annoyingly. I think I only used Tropical Beach in 3 individual games in this tournament. It was, shall we say, inconvenient. But there we go. So Tamau gets an Ultra Ball straight away, getting rid of an Ultra Ball and a Caldeo. Caldeo is going to be useless in this game. Firstly, you can see my Wobbuffet, which, as I was saying a moment ago, blocks all the abilities of non-psychic Pokemon in the deck. And secondly, Tamau has correctly figured out that I am not going to be using any Hypnotoxic Laser or anything like that. So Tamau is not going to need to get around Poison by using Caldeo's Rush In and then retreating. Hooper, on the other hand, is a Psychic Pokemon, so does not have his ability locked by the Wobbuffet, and Tamau grabs a couple of Darkrai and an Yveltal. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a second. Oh, and he's got a Computer Search as well, getting rid of Colrus and thinking of getting rid of one of the Darkrai's. He gets rid of an energy instead. Better play in my opinion. Remember that these dark decks play that Dark Patch item card that allows you to attach a dark energy from your discard to one of your bench dark Pokemon. So Tamao, quite frankly, better start than me. Although to be fair, my Regirock deck, it is necessarily a slower deck. It doesn't have these explosive starts because you sit hiding behind Focus Sash, Wobbuffet and Robo Substitute while you manually attach. Now you might be thinking, hang on a second, why is Tamao putting down those? Oh, and there's a Max Elixir. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. If you find a basic energy, attach it to one of your benched basic Pokemon. And you might be thinking, well, hang on a second, why is he going for those Darkrai's? They're weak to fighting. They are cannon fodder for Regirock. And in one respect, that is correct. Now, I should have high-fived Tamao there for using Juniper with an empty hand. Tamao, if you're watching this, and I think you probably will at some point, you tell me that you do. I apologise. Bad form on my part. But the fact is, I'm going to be relying on Focus Sash to make sure that he cannot one-hit KO me. More on Focus Sash later. So by using that Darkrai, he does 90 to the active, 90 to a bench Pokemon. So he can drop 90 damage on a Regirock and it breaks Focus Sash. And those Darkrai's are going to be much faster than my Regirock. I've got to manually attach 4 energy, and you'll notice not only did I have no energy last turn, but I believe my Professor's Letter was prized. Because otherwise, even if I didn't have anything in my hand, I want to just attach an energy every turn. For the first few turns, I'm content to just attach energy. So my Professor's Letter, which is the item card that allows me to search my energy, that must be prized. And I have a very poor start. So what Tamao wants to do here is just build up those Darkrai's from Dark Explorers. There are 2 Darkrai EXs now. So that he can do 90 to the active and 30 to the bench. Regirock relies on an item card, a tool called Focus Sash. When Focus Sash is attached to a fighting Pokemon, if they would be one-hit KO'd, they go down to 10 HP remaining, Focus Sash gets discarded, but they do not get KO'd. So we see a double Dark Patch here, which actually means a turn 1 Night Spear from Tamao. That, ladies and gentlemen, is quite frankly redonkulous. He's hit a Max Elixir and 2 Dark Patch, put the 2 energy in the discard with Battle Compressor, or one with Battle Compressor, one with the Ultra Ball. Now he could have retreated. I see a Tropical Beach, which is useful, quite frankly. Now the reason why, and I see a Lysand there to bring up the Hooper, and then just Tropical Beach, so I still don't have an energy. The reason Tamao did not get the turn 1 Night Spear is that in order to retreat that Yveltal, he would have had to use Darkrai EX's ability, Dark Cloak, which gives free retreat to all Pokemon with a dark energy attached, and he couldn't do that given that I had a Wobbuffet in the active. So I bring up Hooper, which has a retreat cost of 2 and a pointless attack, and because of the Wobbuffet, I know he's not going to be retreating. So Tamao just uses his own Tropical Beach. So I have a Focus Sash for both the Regirocks there, which is very useful, and I've hit an end. So I finally get to play a supporter that isn't that Corinna from early game, and off we go. Now, it doesn't look like I used the VS Seeker for Corinna on my second turn of the game there. Not the end of the world. The reason is those VS Seekers are very, very useful, and I presumably just wanted to use that Tropical Beach. It allows you to draw until you've got 7 cards in your hand, and it ends your turn. It also makes the deck from an exceptionally cheap deck into an annoyingly expensive deck. So I've got my town map there. I get to look at my prizes, and you'll notice that we've got the Professor's Letter there and 2 of my 10 energy. So 2 of my 10 energy, I should have on average 1 energy prized. I've got 2 energy prized and my Professor's Letter, which is annoying. So I've got 3 Regirock, all with a Focus Sash, but I get an energy. It could be worse, ladies and gentlemen. And then I get to use Tropical Beach for 5. So now I'm rolling. And it might look like I'm not doing very much as Tamao plays another Max Elixir, but ignore the first 2 turns of the game. Only missed that one, unfortunately. The first 2 turns of the game were annoying, but now I'm rolling. 3 Regirock, all with a Focus Sash, Tropical Beach in play, and I've started attaching an energy per turn. It could be an awful lot worse. Tamao still hasn't got an attack, so it's not all that bad. I've got the Wobbuffet in the active, he turns off abilities, and he is exceptionally useful. He slows the game down. It's one of the things Regirock needs. Wobbuffet sits in the active, no Shaman, no Dark Cloak, no Caldeo, etc. So Tamao gets a Reverse Valley there, gets rid of my Tropical Beach. He gets a Fighting Fury Belt on Darkrai and onto Yveltal EX, and then he just discards that Shaman and uses a Sycamore. Firstly, the Wobbuffet's out, Shaman can't be used. Well, he can, but he can't have his ability. Secondly, Shaman is easily KO'd, especially, even something like a Regirock will KO it quite quickly, so not something on which Tamao wants to rely. Now, the good news is he's going to have to waste an energy here, another energy, to retreat that Hooper. So if nothing else, I've made him discard a couple of energy, I've wasted a couple of turns he could have been using for attacking. Bad news, of course, Wobbuffet has 110 HP, Darkrai's Night Spear does 90 to the active, add 10 for the Fighting Fury Bout, add 10 for the Reverse Valley, means that his Night Spear is currently doing 110 damage, which will get a KO on the Wobbuffet, which will give Tamao a prize, and it will do 30 damage to one of my Regirock. And of course, that is very, very bad news for me. But Tamao doesn't get the retreat, so I just attach another energy. And unless I have another Tropical Beach, and I do play free Tropical Beach, I play quite a few. Unfortunately, they are not coming out as I would hope. Now, I'm thinking about the Float Stone there. I got a Robo Sub down as well. And the reason I don't play the Float Stone there is because there are times when your opponent will hit Regirock for, well, what would be a KO. Regirock then loses the Focus Sash, but he's stuck in the active with a whole bunch of energy and is about to get KO'd. So what I like to do there is attach the Float Stone to the Regirock that lost the Focus Sash, then I can free retreat using the Float Stone into something like a Wobbuffet or a Robo Sub. So I think about the Float Stone, but instead I keep it in hand and I VS Seeker for an N. Both players shuffle their hand into their deck and draw the amount of cards equal to the prizes they have remaining, which for both of us here is 6 prizes. Now, Robo-Sub is an item card that just serves as a 30 HP Pokemon. Essentially, I've got 4 Robo-Sub. I stick them in the active, they take a hit, Tamao gets a KO, but he doesn't take a prize. So Wobbuffet sits in the active, gives up a prize, but Tamao doesn't get to use abilities while he's in the active. Robo-Sub gets KO but doesn't give up a prize, and Regirock Tamao has to 2-hit KO. And that's the point of this Regirock deck. I am trying to make it as difficult as possible for my opponent to take a prize. And you'll see here, even though I had a very slow start, I didn't attach energy for my first 2 turns of the game, it doesn't really matter. I've got 3 Regirock down, all with Focus Sash. I've got one of those has got 2 energy on, and now Tamao gets to retreat. So now the pressure is going to start being put on, because I'm not getting a KO next turn. That is not happening. So what Tamao's going to do here is he's going to KO the Wobbuffet as he plays a Dark Patch to get another energy on board. He's going to KO the Wobbuffet, and he's going to put 30 damage on the Regirock with all the energy. Which means now I cannot attack with that Regirock until I heal it. And I'm here doing 100. I've forgotten about the stadium. I'm being an idiot. It is very much a KO. So I put the Wobbuffet up. I don't mind giving up a few prizes with this deck. That really doesn't bother me. So I get a 3rd energy on, but I need to be healing I need to heal the Regirock. Because if I throw him up with a whole bunch of damage on, I've manually attached 4 energy, I take 2 prizes, Tamao KOs the Regirock, and brilliant, I've got no energy on the field. My aim is to take prizes with Regirock so that I can get some prizes, and then it's impossible for Tamao to get a KO, and then I get to use cards like Scramble Switch to make sure I'm always attacking with a fresh Regirock. I should point out at this stage, the best thing about Regirock is his ancient trait, Omega Barrier. An ancient trait is another effect the card has. And Regirock has the Omega Barrier, which basically says you cannot be affected by cards, and I'm just using a Lysander to bring up a Hooper here, trying to buy a couple more turns. I don't think it'll work a second time, but I have nothing else to do. And it means you cannot be... you can be targeted, but trainer cards won't have an effect. So Lysander can't bring Regirock into the active to be KO'd early when he doesn't have a Focus Sash, when he's got some damage on. Hypnotoxic Laser cannot affect Regirock. Cards that get rid of energy like Enhanced Hammer or Team Flare Grunt cannot affect Regirock. So that energy is staying put. He's staying on the bench till I'm ready to bring him active. And the brilliant thing is that Tamao cannot use something like Xerosic to get rid of Focus Sash. Focus Sash stays there, and that's the real benefit to this Regirock deck. Focus Sash stays, and that is the absolute key to the deck working. Not only do you get to use Focus Sash to avoid KOs, but your opponent, in a lot of decks, there is no way Tamao can get rid of Focus Sash. The only thing Tamao can do, and there we see he's got an AZ in the discard, so he uses VS Seeker to pick up the Hooper. I assumed he had something like that. I didn't think it would work a second time, but what can you do? I had no other play, so here he KOs the Wobbuffet. Now the question for Tamao, does he put 60 onto the Regirock that's got damage on the bench, or does he put it onto a fresh Regirock, or does he KO the Robo-Sub? Ideally, he wants to do all. Now, I'm not sure what the best play here is. I would probably say build it up on there's not a bad play. And I'm forgetting to discard the Wobbuffet here. Now, there's two things that I can do. Number one, now if I had a 4th energy and a Pokemon Center lady, I could heal the 60 damage from Regirock, attach the energy, and get a KO. Or, if I had a Scramble Switch, I could put the Regirock with free energy in the active, and then I could use Scramble Switch to switch one of the bench Regirock into the active, move all the energy onto Regirock, and then he is undamaged. Now, here's the problem right now. That Regirock has 60 damage, and I've got Pokemon Center Lady that can heal 60. The problem is, if Tamao uses Night Spear again to hit that Regirock, then he's got 90 damage on him. And if he's got 90 damage on him, that is a big worry because I can heal it off in one turn, but it's far more awkward. I have to use a card like Super Potion, which heals 60 damage, but makes you discard an energy to do so, which means an extra turn to attach energy. That is far from ideal. And of course, if Tamao gets 2 more Night Spears, he'll just KO that Regirock with bench damage and get rid of all my energy anyway. And this is the real downside of playing this Regirock deck. It's constant stress. You play long, stressful games where I hope I get enough energy. I hope my opponent doesn't have this. So you see, I grab a Regirock, I grab a Super Potion. Ideally, I'm going to want to Scramble Switch the energy off of that Regirock and then play the Super Potion afterwards. That would be the ideal. So, I don't even have an energy on there at the moment. You see another Regirock going down. And I say play another single Puzzle of Time. This is not a good game. This is one of the worst games I'd played in terms of drawing so far this tournament. Playing 2 single Puzzle of Time. Missing an energy attachment on turn 1 and on turn 2. I'm on turn 6 here, and I've got 3 energy down, and I haven't put an energy down yet this turn. And I'm playing 10 energy. That's 1 in 6 cards. Oh, it looks like I whiffed the energy there. So I'm not hitting my Tropical Beach. I'm not hitting enough energy, and this is getting into worrying times here. Yes, everybody thinks, well, Darkrai EX, he's weak to fighting. You'll have a really easy time. Weakness doesn't really worry me. One of your best matchups as Regirock is Rayquaza EX, Mega Rayquaza. He resists fighting, but he has no way to hit the bench and no way to break Sash, so you can just make sure that you feed him a couple of Wobbuffets, and it really, really doesn't matter. So it looks like I'm going to do my Scramble Switch play here, assuming I have an energy. I finally draw into an energy, and here I get the Scramble Switch. It works as a switch, but you get to move the energy. And then I'm going to play the Super Potion to not completely, but mostly heal the bench Regirock. Don't have to discard an energy because there's not one there. But I'm going to be relying on a coin flip here. Regirock does 80 damage plus 40 if you can flip heads. At the moment, I'm doing 80 damage, plus 20 for the strong energy is 100, and Tamal's got a Fighting Fury belt on his Darkrai, giving him 220 HP. With only one strong energy, if I flip Tails, I'm doing 200 and not getting a KO. Now, given that I've whiffed 3 energy attachments so far, I believe that's correct, given that Tamal has got the setup, I need to be able to get the KO. If I don't get the KO, Tamal will do 100 damage to my Regirock while putting 30 damage on another Regirock, and I'm going to have 3 of my 4 Regirock with some damage on, unable to use Focus Sash. That is not the position I want to be in. Of course it's a Tails. If you've been watching this channel for long enough, you will know it's a Tails. You will not be shocked to learn I had a horrific day flipping Tails with this deck, including the biggest flip of the tournament. I'm not going to ruin anything because both myself and Tamal make top 8 of this tournament. My top 8 game did not properly record. After terrible draws, I finally got it down to a coin flip 15 minutes after the +3 turns of time in game 3. And of course, I lost the coin flip. So here I'm put in an awkward position. Focus Sash goes away. Regirock's lost a whole bunch of damage. It's not looking good. But I've go for a Puzzle of Time with Corinna, so I must have a Puzzle of Time in hand. So here I can go double Puzzle of Time. And then I can grab my Scramble Switch back. And there we go. So I grab Scramble Switch and one other card. Quite possibly the Super Potion here. I'm not entirely sure. Super Potion would be quite good. There we go. Because I need to be doing some healing. Now, the good news is I've got a second strong energy. The bad news is Darkrai's gone to the bench. There will be no KO on this Yveltal here. So here I'm going to be doing... Now, Yveltal's got resistance to fighting. And he's got 210 HP here. So I'm going to be doing 100 damage because I've got 2 strong energy. One gets nullified by the resistance. No, I'm lying to you. I've got 1 strong energy here. And the deal basically is I need to flip 1 out of 2 heads. It's a Tails. So I do 80 damage here. But if I flip heads next time... No, actually, sorry, I'm lying to you. If I flip heads next time, I'm doing 120 and it's not a KO. So this is far from ideal. And I've used all 4 Puzzle of Time, so there will be no more Scramble Switches. And if I can pull this game out, this is going to show the power of Regirock, put it this way. This is a game where things are going poorly. And Tamal, and I know I keep talking about my side of the field, maybe I'm laser focused, but the thing about Regirock is it doesn't really matter what your opponent does. It's kind of like a much slower version of Night March. You'll notice here that apart from the first couple of turns where Wobbuffet slowed him down, Tamal has enough for a KO every turn. So it just comes down to what can I do? Can I get around this? And Tamal is doing everything right. He's selecting the right Pokemon. He is stopping me using prizes. He is doing everything he can, and he's doing it very well indeed. He's setting up. He's getting his energy on the field. He's got a fast, consistent deck. Now, what I'm thinking with Lysander here is, do I go for the guaranteed KO on the almost... Well, I can KO either Darkrai here. Now, he's got one that's almost KO'd, and he's got one on the bench. And I'm thinking, I want to get the one with free energy, because that's the one that can attack me. But if I don't... But I need to KO the one on the bench. And the reason I go for the benched one that didn't have the energy was very simple. If Tamal gets a Fighting Fury belt, and I only have 1 strong energy, and I flip Tails, which we've already seen happen once, I don't get the KO. So I went for the benched one, because that Darkrai, the worst case scenario, Tamal uses something like an AZ, and loses all of his energy. So, of course, he gets the KO, because I had to give up the Regirock there. I had no Scramble Switch. Generally, once per game, you'll give up a Regirock with the energy on, so it's not the end of the world. I stick a Robo Substitute up. I've got 2 energy on that benched Regirock, and, of course, Tamal pops the 30 damage on there. I now have 0 undamaged Regirock, and to be honest, I would like to draw into my Pokemon Center lady sooner rather than later. Now, I do have 100 damage on that benched Regirock, which means Tamao can KO it with a Night Spear. But I'm not terribly worried about that. I don't mind giving up prizes in this deck. Giving up prizes is not the end of the world. Giving up 6 prizes sucks. Giving up a couple of Wobbuffet, not a problem. Giving up a Regirock mid-game because Tamao's had to 2-hit KO it, not a problem. If Tamao KOs that Regirock on the bench, then I keep my Robo-Sub. And he's not doing extra damage to the Regirocks I want to keep healthy. Now, annoyingly, Tamao does not KO that Regirock. I wanted him to. Because the less damage he does to the Regirock I want to keep going, which is the one to which I'm attaching energy, the less damage I do to that Regirock, the easier it's going to be for me to heal it. So, slight misplay there. Tamao lets me take it back. It was nice and quick. I like to think it was quick enough that I got away with it. And I play an Olympia. So what I did there was I put the Regirock active, I then played an Olympia. This is a new supporter from the Generations set. It allows me to switch and heal 30 from the Pokemon you put on the bench. So I put the Regirock active, I switched it with Olympia, healed 30 damage, and it's as if that previous Night Spear didn't do any damage. It was, quite frankly, not a problem. So I think Tamao's taken 3 prizes here. Yeah, 2 Wobbuffets and a Regirock. I've taken 2. And you see how slow and methodical this game is. I am giving up prizes. I'm allowing Tamao to take prizes. And that's okay. I've had a slow start. I've whiffed some energy. But you know what? I'm not in a terrible position. If I can grab my Pokemon Center Lady here, I'm going to be okay. Now, I think what Tamao's going to do here, he's going to go for a potentially double prize turn. He's going to KO the Wobbuffet here, and he can KO the Regirock if he likes, go down to a single prize, and that's what he's done. But there are no more prizes on the field for Tamao. If I can get rolling here. So I'm going to put the Robo-Sub in the active. I can stall for 2 turns with Robo-Sub. Sooner or later, statistically, I've got to draw into my Pokemon Center Lady. It's not prized, it's in my deck, it heals 60 damage. Now, Tamao taking that double prize turn last game, and there goes a Super Potion to heal the benched one. That 60 prize turn... that double prize turn last time means that there isn't 60 damage on that benched Regirock, which means when I see my Pokemon Center Lady, I'm going to be able to completely heal that Regirock, and I'm going to be able to take a KO. Now, we finally get another Tropical Beach, and you can see how few cards are left in my deck, but I finally drew it, Mummy. I finally drew it. I play 3 of them, so, I don't know. We'll get there. Although, just to be clear, and I will do a video with the deck list for this this deck is inherently a bit slow and a bit clunky. Now, to be fair, this is, other than ironically my top 4 game, which I tried to record but it failed, the clunkiest, slowest game I had. Every other game other than my top 4 was smoother than this. But this is going to happen. You play Olympia, Cassis, you play a whole bunch of one-off supporters. You play a very non-aggressive deck. No Trainer's Mail, no Acrobike, 4 Corinna, which is not a particularly fast supporter. So you've got to realise that this is going to happen. Now, what I'm doing here is trying to figure out how many cards can I draw with Tropical Beach. Because you draw until you've got 7 in hand. It's not, you've got to draw until you have 7. So I need to make... Now, I've got an N in my prizes, so I can grab an N from my prizes and then N. But I need to make sure, essentially, that what I'm going to do is... I think I might have 2 cards left. So I'm going to take a card, get a KO, pick up the N, draw my final card in deck, play the N to stop myself decking out. So to be fair, if Tamao can do a little bit of prize denial here, he might be able to get me to deck out. But I don't think he's going to be able to, because... Oh, he's got an N of his own. Is he going to play it? He's going to play a Reverse Valley to get rid of my Tropical Beach. And that's the way the format is at the moment. Everybody's playing so many stadiums, you aren't going to keep one playing. So this game is going down to the wire. And this is what I mean about saying Darkrai is far from an auto win. Because, quite frankly, And he plays and he whiffs the max elixir here. Now, he's used a lot of energy, and he's got 2 in hand, but even so, that's annoying when that happens. Yeah, you hit for weakness, but you're generally giving them 2 or 3 Night Spears before you hit for weakness. Now, if I'd have drawn into a second strong energy, then I would have got the KO without the coin flip. If I'd have hit the coin flip, I would have got the KO, blah, blah, blah. I didn't. And what that has allowed Tamao to do is get turn after turn of Night Spear breaking my focus sashes. Now, I had a chat with Tamao after the game, and he said about what he could have done this turn was try and KO both the Robo-Subs, forcing a Regirock into the active, but of course that wouldn't have done very much there because I wanted to put the Regirock in the active anyway. So I finally see my Pokemon Center Lady, Regirock gets healed, and now the deck is doing what it's supposed to do. I get the KO on the Darkrai, I go down to 2 prizes remaining, and I've got a completely fresh Regirock. Now, of course, next turn Tamao is going to bring up his Yveltal EX, or his other Yveltal, and break my Focus Sash, and I'm out of Scramble Switch. I've used Scramble Switch, I've used all 4 Puzzle of Time. In fact, I'm running pretty low on resources. I've used Super Potion, and I've recycled it. I've used a whole bunch of VS Seeker, and what I'm doing here is, and this is one of the pains of playing the Regirock deck. I'm basically thinking, right, now I'm going to KO the Darkrai, and then one of the Yveltals is going to come up. Now, if Yveltal does 60 damage, I'm okay with that. Pokemon Center Lady, 70 is a bit more annoying, unfortunately. And I'm thinking, okay, how many healing cards have I got left? How much healing can I do? How many Lysanders do I have? What's my chance of KOing that Yveltal EX if I hit Lysander? Now, I finally built up 3 strong energy on the Regirock. So if I hit heads on a Regirock, I will KO Yveltal on the bench. It's a moot point. There's a Darkrai on the bench. I'm being an idiot. Although, to be fair, I would KO the Yveltal as well. So if I've got a Lysander, I can guarantee the win next turn. I'm going to KO Darkrai. Tamao is then not going to be able to take a KO. He has no way to break Focus Sash. So I'm going to get another attack with Regirock. So if I've got a Lysander next turn, I've got a guaranteed KO on the Darkrai because I'm doing 280 without the coin flip because of the free strong energy, and even the Yveltal EX. And again here, I'm trying to figure it out with the Tropical Beach. I'm going to draw what I need. Now, in the previous turn, and again, this is one of the and I need the VS Seeker for the Lysander, so I'm just trying to think what else do I want here. Energy's always pretty good. I'm just trying to think what I need. I need the VS Seeker. That's what I really need. I need that Lysander. If Tamao cannot play an N here, I will win the game next turn. I don't KO the Yveltal unless I hit heads, because I'm currently doing 120 without the heads, and that's not enough. However, I will KO that Darkrai on the bench. So as long as he doesn't end me, I've got the win next turn. We know I've played a Lysander. I played it on the Hooper early game. We know I've got a VS Seeker in hand. So if there's no end, I will win the game. Tamao cannot take a KO because of Focus Sash. And with that Juniper, I know I've got game 1 sewn up. Now, earlier on, I was thinking, I told you about the not decking out. The other thing was I needed Pokemon Center Lady. You saw I brought the Regirock up, played Pokemon Center Lady to heal the 60, and then got the KO. And that was huge. I needed Pokemon Center Lady. Now, ironically, not ironically, but annoyingly, what I'd actually managed to do was I'd managed to make it so that Pokemon Center Lady was one of the final 2 cards in my deck. Hadn't been able to draw it. It was one of the last 2 cards in my deck. So I had a 50-50 chance of hitting it. When Tamao ended me, I actually then drew into the Pokemon Center Lady. But that's what this Regirock comes down to. Had I not hit the Pokemon Center Lady off Tamao's end, I would have lost this game. I needed to play Pokemon Center Lady that turn to heal the Regirock so that I could get the KO without giving Tamao the return KO. And that's what we're looking at here. Now, to be fair, that was a nice stroke of luck. Again, I whiffed energy attachments early on. I only had 1 strong energy on the Regirock. I whiffed the coin flip, blah, blah, blah. I've said it a few times, we're bored of it. But then I hit that little bit of luck with Pokemon Center Lady. And this is the problem with Regirock. It's a very good deck, but oh my goodness, is it nerve-wracking. You saw in that game there, with the Night Spears going around and the Focus Ashes being broken, there's very little I can do. And it's like fighting fires the whole game. The whole game you're thinking, because you've got to manually attach 4 times, so you know what your opponent's going to be going after. And you're just thinking, all right, can I heal enough damage so that when that Regirock comes in the active, I've got an undamaged Regirock with a Focus Sash so we can take a hit and then keep going. Now, I don't really like putting myself on stream. I end up too focused on my game, and it just seems egotistical. Reason I'm on stream, this is round 4. I'm 3-0. Tamao is 2-0-1. I was happy to ID because I could ID twice to get into cut. Tamao was not happy to ID because an ID for him was as good as a loss, to be honest. So we played it out. I was the only 3-0 I think that didn't ID this round, and I'm playing an unusual deck that I thought people would want to see. And actually, I tweeted out and people told me they very much did want to see this deck in action. So I put myself on stream. But I don't want to take anything away from Tamao here. He is an exceptional player, one of the best players in the UK, and it's not even up for debate. And you saw in the previous game, he did everything right. He went for the Darkrai and the Night Spears. Now, he had a slight advantage. His friend Charlie, my friend Charlie Powell, lovely chap, wears a lot of vests. He actually played in Standard without Scramble Switch, a very similar deck to mine. Regirock with Wobbuffet, but, well, same deck, different build. He did it first, all credit to Charlie. I wasn't aware that he'd done this first, but all credit to Charlie for doing so. He bubbled Top Cut, but without Scramble Switch, it's a much weaker deck. And I don't think he had Puzzle of Time either, so kudos to Charlie. It's much, much better with Scramble Switch and Puzzle of Time. So Tamao knew what to do, but he played it absolutely right. He was going along, and he was taking all the prizes at the right time. He was doing the right stuff with Night Spear. He did ask me whether he could have gone after some Robo-Subs to force Reggie into the active. It wasn't something I saw that he could do in the previous game. But maybe I'm wrong. If you saw it, stick it in the comments. And it's a mulligan. Now, to be fair, I'm only playing 8 basics with 4 Wobbuffet, 4 Reggie, so it's going to happen. And I do shuffle a lot between rounds, but I do whether I win or lose. The reason is, I've got, Regirock, energy, Focus Ash. If you don't shuffle, and there was one game this tournament I didn't shuffle properly. My opening hand was Regirock, Focus Ash, 5 energy, Juniper, or Sycamore. That was not ideal, ladies and gentlemen. Not ideal at all. I had to sit there attaching energy turn after turn. No, it was 4 energy and a Wobbuffet. I had to sit there turn after turn just attaching energy because I couldn't afford to Sycamore that much energy. Now, Tamao has already got his World's Invite sewn up for this year. He will be in San Francisco. He's got his World's Invite. He qualifies every year. And I mentioned Charlie Powell, the other chap who played this Regirock deck. One of the things which I should mention about Charlie and Tamao, a couple of years ago, they actually, I think it was 2013 if I remember correctly, they both top cut Worlds with the same Kling Klang deck. That was the year that everybody was all about playing, Was it the Gothitelle? And nobody played Kling Klang because Gothitelle swept US Nationals. So everyone got scared of playing Kling Klang. Fast forward to Worlds, and Charlie and Tamao are thinking, you know what? Everybody's going to be scared of Gothitelle. Everyone's going to be playing counters for Gothitelle, which means no one's going to be playing Gothitelle, which means Kling Klang becomes really good again. And they both made top 32 at Worlds by virtue of playing a deck that people were not expecting. So quite frankly, good players, both of them. So Tamao's played a Battle Compressor. He's got rid of a couple energy and a Juniper. He plays a VS Seeker to reuse that Juniper after using an Ultra Ball for a Darkrai. He's got an Oblivion Wing Yveltal in the active. He's got a Fighting Fury Bout on both the Yveltals, and off I go. Now I'm in an awkward position here in terms of friends, because I like Tamao. Tamao's a lovely person. He is one of my favourite people in Pokemon. I consider him quite a good friend. And the problem is that it is in my best interest to play slowly. It's 50 minutes, best of 3. If game 2 doesn't finish, then I win, Because in Swiss, a game only counts if one person takes all 6 prizes, or essentially if somebody legitimately wins. If the game doesn't finish, it never happened, and I win the match. Problem is, I kind of like Tamao, and I want to win the game, and I want a top cut, but I don't want to slow play until I win, because that's just mean, and that's not very nice to a friend. So I am searching my deck here. I have to search my deck in this matchup. I need to know how many strong energy I've got, because it really affects the maths. I need to see how many Focus Sash and how many Robo Sub I've got to know how many turns I can stall for. I need to know how many if my Scramble Switch is prized, if my Pokemon Center Lady is prized, if my Super Potion is prized, if my Cassius and my Olympia are prized. I need to know how many turns can I stall for, Focus Sash and Robo Sub, how much healing do I have, Cassius, Pokemon Center Lady, Super Potion, Olympia, and how much energy do I have. But I just get the Robo Subs down nice and quickly, I attach an energy, I pop a Tropical Beach in play, and then I straight away use it. So I'm playing nice and fast enough here. Yes, I searched my deck, but given it was the first search of the game, I don't think it was too long. So Tamao gets Reverse Valley down straight away. Now, it's one of those that affects both sides differently. For Tamao's side, all his Dark Pokemon do 10 more damage. All of my Metal Pokemon take 10 less damage. But of course, I have no Metal Pokemon. So Tamao here is in a race. He needs to take 6 prizes. I don't. I won game 1. I just need to make time run out. And in round 1, I actually won in about 35-40 minutes because my opponent had a bit of a drought game 1. They didn't draw very well and they scooped quite quickly. But in game 2, I won game 1 and took it to time. In round 3, I won game 1 and took it to time. We're now in round 4. I won round 1 and I'm going to be looking to take it to time. So Tamao gets a second manual attachment. He plays a Max Elixir to get an energy on his bench Darkrai. And once again, I have started Wobbuffet, which I like. It means no manually retreating for Darkrai. It means no free retreat for Yveltal. We see a Dark Patch there. And Tamao doesn't get a Night Spear there because he's got 2 manual attachments, a Max Elixir, a Dark Patch. He can retreat the Yveltal, but he doesn't get the opportunity to... he doesn't get the third energy on there. So... Tamao here, he's used an Oblivion Wing, but I don't think he had any energy to use there. And I hate situations like this because I don't know what to do. The problem with Regirock is there are some turns where it's huge. That turn in the previous game when I had to Corinna for a Puzzle of Time, if I don't do that, I lose. If I don't take the Scramble Switch and the Super Potion, I lose. So there's so many things here, and I don't want to play slowly. I want to play at a decent pace. I don't want to kind of screw my friend out of a potential draw. I'm not going to lose this round. That's almost impossible at this stage. Not unless I have an absolute shocker game 3. But if I lose game 2, then we will certainly end up in a draw. There won't be enough time for a game 3. So I go for a Regirock and a Robo Sub. And I'm just checking for cards including stuff like AZ to see if he can get out the active, seeing how many VS Seeker he's used, and yeah, I'm not going to get an attack here, so I'm just going to pass. And Tamao he's going to be 10 damage short of a KO here. So straight away he gets the retreat with Baby Yveltal. He's going to get the Darkrai into the active. He's going to be able to attach an energy. And he's going to get a Night Spear. He's going to get the KO on the Wobbuffet. Oh, and there's another Dark Patch there. And 30 to my Regirock, what's got the energy on. And I've only got 2 energy down. Again, I'm not discarding that Wobbuffet. That's very silly of me. I'm thinking very linearly. So I stick up Robo Sub just to waste a turn. And I'm going to need 2 more energy attachments. Now, Tamao's got his Darkrai going faster this turn. I haven't missed any energy attachments. 3 turns, 3 energy attachments. But I haven't been able to slow Tamao down as much as I did in the previous game. So that means that I'm not... We're almost on the same pace, I suppose. Because I didn't whiff the 2 turns of energy attachment. or 3 by the time I got attacking, but I didn't manage to stall Tamal for as long as I did. And that is, shall we say, inconvenient. Don't even cut Tamal's deck, because I trust him and I don't want to be seen to be wasting time. And that is awkward. Now, just to be clear, Tamal's a lovely chap. Tamal is not the kind of guy that, he might mention if I was playing excessively slowly. He is not the kind of guy that would rush me to try and kind of grab a win in game 2. But similarly, so, he's not going to rush me, but I don't want to, I feel awkward in situations like this, as I'm sure a lot of people do, because it is very much in my best interest to play slowly, but I don't want to win an illegitimate game and annoy my friend, so that's awkward. So I go up to 60 damage on the Regirock, I get rid of a Robo-Sub, and I'm trying to decide what to put in the active. I go for a Wobbuffet because as it stands, Tamal's only doing 100 damage, he hasn't got the KO yet. And annoyingly, I don't have any way to heal that damage off the Regirock. So I play a Steven, that allows me to search for an energy and a supporter. And my thought process here basically is, well, I kind of want to grab a Corinna so that I can get Scramble Switch next turn. But I also want to grab a Pokemon Center Lady so I can heal next turn. But it's got to be Corinna. I've got to grab a Corinna so that next turn I can Scramble Switch. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a Regirock with 60 damage on, and I've got one that's empty. And Tamal's seen me grab a Corinna. So Tamal knows I am going to pop the Regirock with the free energy in the active, and then I'm going to Scramble Switch the other Regirock. So he's going, if he Night Spears here, he's going to put the 30 damage on the undamaged Regirock, so that I've got to both Scramble Switch and heal. Now, Tamal presumably here is going to go for a Fighting Fury belt, so that he can get the KO on Wobbuffet. In a longer game, it might be in his interest here to not KO the Wobbuffet, to 2-hit KO the Wobbuffet, so that he can get more damage down in terms of the Night Spear bench damage. But of course, he needs to take KOs as fast as possible here, so it's something he's got to do. Now, I might be remembering this incorrectly, and I'm going to play a Corinna here, so we're going to see. I believe I might have 2 Regirock prize this game. And that is awkward. And I think that might be what I'm kind of lamenting right now. Because the problem is, if I've only got 2 Regirock, then Tamal just needs to damage both of them. I have no undamaged Regirock. My basic plan here was Scramble Switch, Regirock, Focus Sash, KO. I can only do that with an undamaged Regirock. If I've got 2 Regirock prize, and I'm fairly... yeah, I've got 2 Regirock prize. If I've got 2 Regirock prized here, then I've got to both heal and Scramble Switch. And this is what happens in this deck. A deck like Tamal's, it is very straightforward. It works. It goes. He gets his energy on the field, he uses Dark Patch, he uses Max Elixir, and he smashes. It runs, and we've seen how consistent, even under the ability lock with Wobbuffet, Tamal's deck has just run. It's a very, very well-constructed, very consistent deck. My deck is awkward. So you see that I don't even go for the Scramble Switch, because what's the point? I've got the... I believe, if I remember correctly, I've got the Focus Sash in hand, but there's nothing I can do here. I don't have an undamaged Regirock, and you can see here, now I am taking too long for my turn. I need to be hurrying up here. This is too long a turn at this stage. I need to hurry up and make a decision. The reason it's taking me so long is essentially I'm going, well, that was my plan. I've got Scramble Switch, I've got Focus Sash, I go Regirock, and I'm good. So what I have to do here is grab my town map, so that I can play my town map, so that I can find my 2 prized Regirock, because I'm going to need one. Now, in a long game, this is a huge, huge problem for me. Because do I get the KO giving up the Regirock and the 4 energy? so that I can grab one out of the deck, out of the discard, the prizes, or do I try and heal? And it's an awkward one. So what I do here, and it's a dodgy situation, I'm giving up the Regirock. And I believe that was a heads, which was nice. But now I'm going to lose the Regirock. And to be honest, I don't know how much I like this play. I don't think it's going to matter, but I don't like it. But I have got to do this. I've got 2 Regirocks and a Super Potion prized. So here, Tamao brings up the Darkrai, gets the KO, hits the Regirock for 60. And now I'm starting to feel the pressure. I am very much starting to feel the pressure here. Because I've got my Regirocks now and I'm good. But I've got 1 energy on the field. I've lost my energy. Now, there is an argument that what I should have done was figured out earlier that the Regirock is prized and benched 1 Regirock, and I see a Sycamore there after popping a Tropical Beach in play, that what I should have done was bench 1 Regirock and then bench the second when I scramble switched. And to be honest, I think I probably should have done that. I think we can fairly say it as a misplay of myself, that I should have realised I had 2 Regirock prized, benched 1 and attached a whole bunch of energy, and then while I did that, be ready. And then go Regirock, Focus Sash, Scramble Switch, off we go, grab the other 2 out the prizes. I don't think I planned ahead as well as I could have done. Now, here's I think what Tamao was talking about previously. What he could have done there was KO both those Robo-Subs, forced a Regirock into the active. Now there comes my Pokemon Center lady. So now we're rolling and I need an energy every turn here. Because the problem is, I'm thinking, well, hang on a second. Tamao's already taken a few prizes, and I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I need to get my 4 energy. Now, I haven't scramble switched, and it looks like I whiffed an energy there, but it turns out time has been called, and Tamao says, I can't win this game. Good game. Now, what I like about that is the fact that it wasn't, all 1 or 2 more turns. Now, to be honest, and you can blame it on whatever you like. You can say it was because I had 2 Regirock prize. You can say it was because Tamao had a faster start. Or you can say it was because Tamao outplayed me in that game. I would accept any of those suggestions. I would not be offended by either. I am more than happy to be outplayed by a player as good as Tamao, quite frankly. But I don't think I was going to win that game. I think if that game carries on, I think Tamao wins. Now, I know I've got prizes 3 and 4. I know I can get a second Regirock going and get those 2 prizes. I am not convinced I can get a second Regirock going undamaged and then start doing the healing. Now, I'm not saying I can't. It's possible. I haven't used my Scramble Switch that game. I haven't used any of my Puzzle of Time. There is definitely a chance I can win that game. But having to give up the 4 energy Regirock, I think was a bit too much. I think in a long game, Tamao would have won that game. And to be honest, it's partly due to my own misplay. I should have realised I had a Regirock prize, and I should have made sure that I don't bench the second Regirock until the turn that I scramble switch. I'm playing for Corinna, for goodness sake. I can go Corinna for Regirock and scramble switch. Make sure, obviously, I've got a Focus Sash in hand. Reggie, Focus Sash, Scramble Switch, go. It's what I should have done. It is on me that I didn't do it. But this is how we learn. One thing that makes me happy is, even though I won game 1, and then I essentially stalled until I won game 2. Except for that one turn when I realised the second Reggie was prized, I don't think I played particularly slowly. I didn't cut Tamao's deck every turn, etc. But the other thing is, if you look at that, yes, I think there is absolutely a suggestion that Tamao was going to win that game. But it was going to take him several more turns to win. I could have stalled for a few more turns, so it wasn't a case of time was called. And that makes me feel a little better. If you're watching this, Tamao, I'm sorry. I don't like winning like that. To be honest, Regirock's not a deck I love playing, I'm going to be honest, but there we go. Hopefully, I've explained the matchup well enough, and I know a lot of people wanted to see this Regirock deck in action. Hopefully, I've explained everything. If you've got any questions, comments, queries, or quibbles, pop them down in the comments. If you are a very nice person, push like. Not a nice person, don't push like. If you want to make a public statement to the world that you're not a nice person, don't click the like button. Go on, just don't do it. And of course, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so, and get a friend to subscribe if you have. Thank you to Tamal for agreeing to be on stream. I very much appreciate it. He was not particularly well on this tournament, and he stood up for an hour so we could record this game. I very much appreciate it. Thank you to Vinnie Gardner and all at Mad for Miniatures for allowing us to record, and of course, always the most important thing, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.